So here's a look at our status display. This is at the end of or it's going to be the start of August. Now, I just want to know, like I said, I keep repeating, I haven't played this game more than 2 years into the 3 times I've attempted to play this game. I've never, in those 3 times, only playing in the 2 years, I mean, that means hitting 1808, I've never seen the British out of the dominant zone. So I'm very happy about that. And I don't know how normal that is, but I think it's great. The French is down here. I've never seen the French that low either. So I'm really enjoying the way these victories are right now. I think it's great for me, who is hard to come by victory points. So I'm liking it. And that, I don't know how long, of course, we can keep this up, having the British and the French, getting hammered left and right. Everybody's fighting in the middle, and Russia, Turkey, and Spain on the outside are gobbling up the crumbs falling from the table. So the Tres Hombres really like the position they're in. Sorry, I turned all the lights out, but I had one more thing to say. Just FYI, if you're wondering how I got the Ottoman Empire, remember, this whole time, for 6-7 months, we were fighting a war all up in here, and the British were very involved up here and moving troops around, and I was allowed to get what I needed down here. It took a turn or two after the war ended, and I was able to get this, and that's why Britain came down real quick to get Algeria away. But not much they could do about it. I mean, maybe there was, and the British player's being pretty cool with me. He doesn't want to probably start any hostilities. He could have jacked me, I think, a couple times, and he chose not to. So in that way, he's being cool, but, I just don't dig the British controlling the ocean. If he does that, it's going to be hard for us to win the game. I see the British are winning this game most of the time when I go look it up on Board Game Geek. But anyways, and yes, look at this. You see a Prussian fleet right there. They had the Prussians build one ship, and the British are using it to transport their troops around while they keep everybody blockaded. I mean, it's just, we can't allow this stuff to go on. Here we are at 1806. We're going to be starting the July turn. Here's our table now. Now, the last economic phase, I collected 9 points, and I got another 9. The French are down here now twice. The English are still collecting their points, and if you can make it out, this is what the victory points are. English 51. And then a lot of people are at 48, the Russians and the Austrians, 47, the Spanish and the Prussians, 46, the Turks, and the French are at 43. Sorry about the video. I don't know what happened to it, but I got quite a lot of information on this video, so it's going to continue for about 5 minutes like this, and then it will stop. Because for the beginners, when there's maintenance that's coming up, if you don't need the cores on the board, you try to remove them and put your men in garrisons. Now, if you have cavalry in your corps, you can't do that because you can't put cavalry in as a garrison. So the 2 janissaries are off. But what most of us do, what I've learned from these guys, is you always, every maintenance economic phase, you build a new corps counter. That way, you don't have to put it on the board, but if you need it, you can place it down within those 3 turns before the next economic phase when you have to take it off again and pay for it again. But you can put it down, and I can just pick up these men and start moving with them. So that's nice to have. And as the French came over, the English landed on them. We ended up fighting 2 battles there, and the French lost them both. Even though we outpicked them in the chits in one, and the other one wasn't too bad of a pick, he still lost the battles. He still can't get a roll going his way, literally. The English rolled this. I remember on the first battle, when the French outpicked them in the chits, the English rolled a 6 and the French rolled a 1. That's how the first round went. But just, he really hasn't got the rolls yet. Anyways, the French are kind of doing the same. They're just building a bunch of men and keeping corps off the board if they can, and keeping corps around their fleets. It is July 1806. We're going to spend the next 5 turns putting pressure on the English. And we have a plan worked out. And if you guys are watching this video, stay tuned for what happens next. And, you know, it's very intricate. A lot of planning's gone into it. Me and the French are really planning a lot. We have the Russians and the Spanish on our side. And there's a lot that can happen in this next few turns. And it's going to go something like this. We're going to get all our fleets together in Cadiz. We won't declare war on the British yet. We're going to see how he responds to that. We're going to move up our ships into this sea zone here. See how the British responds to that. We still won't be at war. Now the British are allowed to attack Turkish, Spanish, Russian fleets if they are in a French port with French corps there and we combine movement. He will be able to fight them. So we're not too worried about the English trying to divide us that way. Because if we combine movement, he's going to have to fight the Spanish, the Russians, and the Turk Navy just for carrying the French troops. So he's still forced to fight everybody's Navy, even if he declares war on one of us, or none of us. But what he will probably do... Now, remember, I want the goal of this is for England to spend political points and to lose fleets. And, you know, Thomas is a real smart guy. He probably won't spend the political points unless he sees that he can divide us and break up our alliance. So no matter what, everybody's going to always ask for an unconditional surrender from him. And then, one, we're going to take fleets off the board, and he's going to lose political points. So even that way, we will achieve our objective. Other than that, we're going to try to force him into a battle. But we'll see how it goes. The British just do not have a big army right now. They've been fighting this whole time just like everybody else. I mean, let's look at their card. The British have a total of 7 infantry, 2 guard, and 4 cavalry. That's all they got. Besides their 7 on Gibraltar here, because the French have corps down here. So it's just not a big army. So I'm real curious to see what he's going to do. Now what happens is we're going to run into a time constraint here, because come 1807, I think February or March, the Austrians will be able to join the war and attack the French again. If we have this big coalition going against the English, which... we're going to tell the Austrians again, keep your nose out of this business. Keep it out of the English business. If you go to help the English, the Spanish, the Turks, and the Russians, we're all right here ready to attack you. So that's the game plan. And we'll see how it goes. This is what we got so far. There's like 122 ships right here. A Russian, 2 Russian fleets, a Turk, and 3 Spanish. The 1 Spanish just has 1 ship in it. We're going to use it to transport. Part of the trickery stuff here is transporting French men here, obviously, and selling them up here, and then the English are allowed to fight our ships without declaring war. So we'll see how that goes. He's still holding a blockade here. The Russians came over with a corps. There's just 1 ship in this fleet. We're going to sell it up here. If we have the French transporting Russians, or Russians transporting French, you know, it's cross transportation. He has to fight all the ships is what we're getting at. But we'll see how it goes. I think for the first time, we're going to start December 1806, and the British, all because he's trying to hold on to Algeria, which is a 4-3, 3 for the manpower. He brought Wellington down here, and he had to blockade these ships. He had to blockade those ships, or he would have got intercepted. So he only has 73 ships. Now he went last and he put them in the blockade port so that I would have to try to run him to intercept. Now only the French are at war, so it'd be just the French ship, which isn't much, and the French ship here, which was 30, and he put 36 ships there. But the next turn's really going to tell. I think this is the most we're going to see the British out of position. I think he's a little out of position. We have the Danish fleet is in this sea zone. 73 ships are blockading 131. Another 14 ships are right there. 36 ships are blockading 33. They bought one Prussian fleet to help transport stuff around. That's what's right here, one Prussian ship. They bought it to because the British knew they'd be fighting the Russians, Turks, and Spanish. And we still have 13 French ships ready to transport a Russian, 6 French fleets here ready to transport the French corps. Now, our dilemma is this. If he decides to go last this time, we can take this entire force with 3 French corps and a Spanish corps, run this blockade, go for a battle, and what it comes down to is like a 68% chance we're going to win it, even though he gets wind gauge. And we're going to sell to Yarmouth. Because these fleets cannot come up here and join this force. They can't reach Yarmouth's box to help attack. Therefore, he only remains here. Now, the British are going to get another 12 there. Puts them at 85. And then he can get this 13 there too. He can have like 93 ships. Then it turns into whoever rolls higher is going to win that battle. Even if I'm counting every battle that he gets wind gauge. So even if he gets wind gauge, whoever rolls higher is going to win that battle. So if he goes first, then what's he do? He tries to get all his ships right here to blockade this and this, right? He's going to leave these 2 open. If he does that, these 2 corps are going to land on England. He may just deal with that. But no matter what, if he leaves these ships to keep this blockaded, he can get 100, I think it's 109 ships right there. And again, we take our 133 and we fight a battle. We're just going to go for it. In December, we're going to declare war, though. The Turks, the Russians, the Spanish are all going to declare war on the English. That way we can start moving our troops. Here are the Russians and the Spanish there. We got a couple Spanish corps here ready to go. And then the British have a few options. Like I said, either go first or last. I don't know what he's going to do. Or sue for peace. I would think that would be his other trick up the sleeve. If there is nobody on England, he has to sue to peace for everybody that's at war with him, including the French. And the French have to offer an unconditional, which I think the British have to accept. If everybody else sues unconditional, he does not have to accept everybody else's unconditional. Therefore, the French can remove some fleets, Wellington or Nelson, maybe even some corps. I don't know what the conditions are. I'd have to look. But then it would be left just the English fighting the Spanish, the Russians, and the Turks, which may be what he's looking for. So if he sues for peace, the French would go to an unconditional, and maybe us 3 will ask for a conditional. Then he has to accept them. So the Spanish, Turks, and Russians declared war on England. No peace, Britain?
Well, hang on a second. That's an interesting question, huh? An interesting question indeed. No, I don't think we're going to have any peace yet.
So the British pulled everything they had into this Plymouth sea zone. We took La Rochelle, went to Brest, and now we're pulling out.
Okay. Yeah. First, well, each one of the Turkish, Spanish, and Russian fleets, it carries a French corps.
Score all 10 or smaller?
That is a good question.
I guess I'm the only one that can roll at the moment.
You, Nicholas,
I got it.
you better roll like shit.
Oh, trust me. When
That's
it comes
a
to my
relative
roll,
term.
All right, he's gonna try to intercept right
If he
here.
rolls
It's a
like
4
shit
or
and
less
rolls a
with
1, that's
Nelson.
good in this case.
he's got a point there.
Well, roll.
Well,
Can't see it.
yes.
Can't see
It's
it.
a 4. It's a 4.
So
Okay,
that is an intercept. So
Yep.
now we're gonna have a combat.
intercepted.
Where the British is the attacker and the other guys are the defenders.
Yes, we do have more than 139 ships now too, though.
Yeah, we just added 13 more.
Yes. So 152. But we will recount, I guess. And how many ships did the British have?
124.
24.
We have 39 plus 13, which is
152.
Should be, yes.
yeah, 152. Okay, so who's rolling?
Okay, so what we have to do is we got to start by rolling wind gauge.
Yep.
British roll first as the attacker. Get +2 to the dice.
Nicholas, you rolling that too?
Yeah, I guess I got it.
I guess
+1 for British, +1 for Nelson.
I'm gonna roll our wind gauge.
But you can't roll higher than a 6.
So,
Modified
Thomas,
6.
you rolling first, or
Yes.
Nicholas, you rolling?
Nick will have to roll first. Yeah. I'm rolling. British wind gauge.
Can't see it.
It's a 1.
I can't see it.
Oh, there it is.
It's a 1.
You can't see it.
All right,
No, I saw it eventually. Yeah.
here comes ours.
So one turns into a 3, and this is a 1 stays a 1. British win the wind gauge.
Oh shoot.
Wow, Chris, I gave you the perfect things and you ruined.
Yes, I know.
You rolled as shit as could be.
Yes, I did. Okay,
Okay, so
let's.
Nick, you have to roll for me again to attack. All right. A 6 would be perfect right now.
Would like
Get
another
the
one.
line first.
Well,
And,
he's got to lose.
All the ones are gone.
He's got to lose one of these battles sooner or later. That's the
that's
way
what I
I.
said. I'm playing a Spain, right?
Two, nice. So that's a 3,
I
3,
didn't
4.
even see that go.
That's a 3, 4.
3. Alright, we need to calculate the casualties first.
Yep. 20, 3, 6, 9. There's 100. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And then another 20 is 18. And then he has 4. It becomes 19. 19 ships, I count.
19 ships.
19.
And then
Yeah, that's
133 left.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna roll for 133.
That's
Oh,
right,
yeah,
yes.
okay, sorry, yes.
4.
Ah,
Which is also 15%, right?
Yes, it is.
yeah.
So that is gonna go up to 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and then 13 more is 2 more. So it's 18, 19, 20. We beat them by 1 by my calculations.
Yeah.
Alright. That means that you don't get extra points for defeating Nelson, I think.
Go
This is
to
our first
here
naval
now.
battle, so it would
This
be
is live.
impossible for
We're
him
watching
for-
this live.
It's
We retreated the British
like,
there.
I just cannot beat the guy.
I
what were
assure
the,
you that the math says you can.
Now we went out, blockaded that, just in case he tries to pick up English. But then
I'll let you know if something happens.
we took the rest of the ships up here,
Oh, yes.
and Nelson now is going to intercept there.
You still might want to use
The British are going,
the cavalry.
backing out.
To do what? To garrison London.
It has more younger than we are right now.
Okay, so we landed. We're here and here. And one of the reasons why I didn't want to declare war, and I told my Spanish ally I wasn't going to, but at the last minute I talked to the French, and he thought I should, so I decided to. But now, all these, if Britain sues for surrender, he only has to sue to the Spanish, French, and Russians, and not me, because I don't have troops there. You know, the invasion went very well. I think beyond what I thought, so I wasn't really prepared for that. But anyways, now I have to get into some real good diplomacy to make sure the British don't take a huge revenge on me, and I can still handle down here in the Med. After the invasion, you know, I gotta say, while I was maneuvering the ships around here, because it was the Tres Hombres, the Spanish, the Turks, and the Russians, I'm maneuvering them, and doesn't look like nothing's forming. I have the Austrian player pretty much saying, it doesn't look like he's doing anything. Well, you know, it doesn't look like much, and da-da, you know, well, it doesn't look, and then, you know, at one point when all the ships got to there, it was like, well, I guess it's forming, but there's no troops there. But remember, there was a couple French and a Spanish corps there. We put another corps here. Because our idea, you know, we talked about many things, but I liked the idea of spreading the stuff out. I mean, the British could not get it all. So, which I think forced him to pull in this sea zone. Once he went into that sea zone, he had to win 3 die rolls to win that battle. That's what I'm playing on. Yeah, each die roll, he had the advantage, but for him to win all 3 of those, I didn't see it as, you know, a possibility. I thought I could win one of them, and we did. We won one of those. If he missed the interception, the invasion fleet would have just went to a blockade box. Okay, now I'm in a blockade box that he had nothing to protect with 80 guns we were talking about. And now I have the advantage. Well, he got the interception. Second thing, wind gauge. If I win the wind gauge, then he would have to roll really, really good to beat me. Well, he won the wind gauge. Now it's the battle roll. And we outrolled him on the battle roll. Actually, we rolled the same number. He rolled a 2, which became a 3. And I rolled a 4. So I did outroll him. But we ended up on the same table, and we beat him. Anyways, I was very happy with that. I don't know. I've read a couple things or seen a couple things where England does get invaded, but we were very happy. So far, my allies, the Spanish and the Russians, they were very happy with the way the first war went against France. Because remember, our goal was to knock the French and the English down. We felt if they were always in the dominant zone, collecting all the points they needed, it was going to be tough for us to win. So we were glad to see them both get knocked down. The game has gone the way I have planned with my allies, and we're very happy with it. So the next thing came with, do we want to annihilate the British? Well, no. Same thing like we did with the French. We do not want the British out of the game. Then that's not going to be good for us. It's only going to help the French. So we immediately went into peace talks, and it turned out okay. The British agreed to conditionally surrender to the Spanish, the Turks, and the Russians, even though he didn't have to surrender to the Turks at all. And he was forced to unconditionally surrender to the French. And we were very easy on his terms. We let him change his ships around, and the French had to remove 2 fleets. And both those fleets only had 1 ship on it. So we let him do that. And then the French took the second term with occupying the country. And then I don't even know if he took a third term. Like, he might have just let it slide. The Spanish only took one thing. He wanted Gibraltar. That's all he took. The Russians took a marriage because they were allied, and the Russian, again, he's fighting his allies, so it's cost him 5 political points to go to war, so he's getting the conditional surrender and a marriage, so he's actually getting 2 out of it, which he was happy with. And Me, I was going to go easy on him. I told him he didn't even have to surrender to me. I was just happy with this accomplishment, and to me, it was more important to knock the British down and to keep their ships out of the water and lose political points than anything. So I was satisfied already, but he conditionally surrendered, and I got the political points for it, and that's it. I didn't even pick anything. So that's the way the surrender went. That's the way the chart looks right now. And we are in 1807 March. So I've collected my last three economic phases, maybe 4. I've collected 9 points and a 10. So I'm doing very well on the points table. Look where the British, they really dropped down. The French came back up here now because, of course, they got 5 political points out of that unconditional surrender. The Austrians and Prussians, so if you realize the last table I showed you, it was switched. These 3 who've been allies were on the top and us 4 were down here. Now we switched it. So I'm very happy. But now it's, whenever you're doing well, you got a target on your back. So I'm hoping a big war starts right here in the middle between the French, Austrians, Prussians. We have a new Russian player. He's going to start, he'll start probably the next game turn. The other guy was going off to college. So we have a new Russian player, and he's even more experienced. So now we have 4 experienced people in this game. So I told him about the alliance we have with Tres Hombres. He liked it, but again, I don't really know this person. Like, when you know people that you play here, you know how to read them. This person I do not know, so I'm going to have to be more careful about it and tippy-toe around what the Russians want here. I don't want them jacking me. So that's where the game is. And right now I figured out, I've done this whole 2 pages worth of calculations of how many infantry I need with the Ottoman Empire and my empire, where to set them up in order to defend myself. And basically I'm going to go defend here with another good stack right here. So I have a good stack in Belgrade. I'll have one in Sofia, then 2 garrison stacks here. That'll be pretty big. I'm going to have 2 more. I'm going to have 1 more here and a small one here. So as I retreat and force the opponent to do these sieges, I can gather forces behind him, Turk forces with corps, and maybe cause problems in the back along with my feudal. And the same thing is here. If the Russians are coming after me, I can build corps here when I get garrisons there, and I'm going to get a pretty strong garrison there. I think 10 men at least. It'll hold 15, maybe 15. And I can build corps here and fight him in the mountains, and just everything will be built in a defensive strategic withdrawal. And then the Ottomans will be the same thing. I really can't defend this whole empire, so I'm going to defend right here, and I'll have my group a stack, 3 corps maybe, and even feudal that can help from Anatolia. I can have like 60 factors sitting right here, or can be here in a turn or 2, ready to defend my most important assets, which is Egypt and Syria. And, I can't really worry about these, although I'm going to have some garrisons on these, 4 or 5, because I can always build, and I'm going to have Alexandria strong, Demetia strong, and Cairo, so I can always build like a Tunis, Tripoli, Cyrenaica corps, and put them and pick up these garrisons, and even get more men if I have to. So that's what I got to work on right now, is my defense. I told France already, he wasn't real happy with me, that I do not want to get involved in the next war. I do not want to fight Austria. So that's about how it's going to go. All right. Great game. The diplomacy in this game is awesome, especially when you're playing by mail. So, great. Now, since we're going over the Napoleon Wars, I thought I would just show you a little collection I had of some Napoleon books. These 2 I haven't read yet. It's the Memoirs of Baron de Marbot, He was a aide-de-camp to the French staff and in contact with Napoleon from 1779 to 1814 after he first got exiled. I haven't read those yet. Wellington at Waterloo. I was only read half of this so far, but it's an insight to. It's about the Battle of Waterloo, obviously, and they go over the battles that happened before him. Quatre Bras and Langley, I believe they're called, and this gives real good insight to the manner in which Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo. This one I read. It's a Napoleonic officer in the Imperial Guard. That's his name, and he gives some good insight of how majestic they thought of Napoleon, and really a good account of the Guard and what they did in the Battle of Austerlitz. So it's a real good read. This one, I've read most of it, and it's the battle between, Napoleon and Charles only came in direct battle together with both of them leading in 1809. And Charles really held his own against Napoleon, and instead of being defeated outright like the Austrian army was in the first campaign in 1805, Charles did a masterful withdrawal and withdrawed in good order, and the Austrian army was never defeated like it was in 1805. Charles was very remarkable. This covered the entire campaign of the Danube Valley, and we're talking the Battle of Ickmol, Ratisbon, and the Battle of Essling-Aspern, and then up to Wagram. So, very good read on that one. I haven't read Napoleon's campaign in Germany. I've read this one, The Studies in the Napoleonic Wars. Very interesting. Very, very good read if you want to know how the militaries and the armies thought and what they did when they came to battle. And then I read this one. It's French Hussar soldier during the Peninsula Campaign. It's kind of a dry read, but it's just the French memoirs and his perspectives. And again, it's very interesting when Napoleon had arrived on the scene and they were able to get a glance of him, or how much morale and faith just by Napoleon appearing could do to the French soldiers. So, very good read on that. But anyways, that's my Napoleonic collection. Basically memoirs. Most of these are taken from about, the first copyright was in 1900 to 1909. So, I like these books. Very proud of that collection right there.